Were you surprised when the 30-day weigh-in, were you surprised that Kell Brook weighed 176 pounds? And Abel, you could answer this also.
I'm not surprised. It's not a big surprise for me because I saw him. He is not a small guy. He's like maybe a little bit shorter than me. He looks big. Not surprised. Not. I think he's understand right now. He needs weight, especially for middleweight division. You know. He understands it's a serious fight for us. You know, not just for him and for me. Easy. No, it's serious.
When I fought him 4 years ago, he was a young guy, and he was having a difficult time making weight. Unfortunately, in this business, things get out of training camps, and I heard that for 3 or 4 days he was thrown up trying to make weight for the Carson fight. So that was 4 years ago, and I imagine he's grown, he's matured, his body's matured. So I knew that he was going to be, he was going to have a hard time making 47. I wondered often before this fight how long he would keep the welterweight title. And hearing the weight just reaffirms. Not only that, when we saw him in London, damn, he was huge. He looked like a bodybuilder. His arms were huge. He was fat. So surprised, yes, but not really surprised.
Damien over here.
Well,
Just raise your hand.
How surprised were you when Brooks' name was brought up as the opponent?
Yeah, a little bit surprised. I'm not gonna say I wasn't, but we had gone through so many names. In fact, back when the Rosado fight happened, we met with HBO, and Tom presented me with 20 names in the 54 and 68-pound division, and not a name that I turned down. Brook wasn't in it, but Brook being a champion and wanting to challenge himself, as Shane did to fight Oscar, as Tito did to fight Hopkins, and guys like that. He's having a hard time like we are, getting opponents, so it's a natural.
Back, please.
Hi, this is for Abel and also Gennady. Some people like recently, because you've had problems getting like Kell Brook, that's a real challenge. It's a very good opponent. But you've had problems with this weight class. Some people have been critical about you not going up in the weight. What do you have to say to that from both of you?
Well, first of all, I think that's a question for Tom, but from what we know, there's been offers and there's been promoters that have stated that their fighters want to fight Golovkin, but the unfortunate thing is that's all they say. I saw a T-shirt not too long ago that had a picture of Canelo on it, and it had, I want to fight GGG, and underneath it said, just not next. And it seems like all of them are like that. I would hope that after this fight's over, if we're successful, that they come out of the woodwork and they call Tom before Tom settles another fight. They call Tom so while there's still a chance that a fight can be signed, instead of waiting like BJ did and like Danny did. Once the fight is signed, it's kind of difficult to go back on a word.
Tom, you want to talk about it?
I mean, we get the question a lot, why don't we fight a 168-pounder? But we tried to make the fight with Chavez Jr. Just over 2 years ago now with Bob. You know, he was doing all he could to try to entice Chavez Jr. to get in the ring with Gennady, because he knew that would be a huge fight. It'd be a great fan favorite fight, and it'd be a successful pay-per-view fight. For whatever reason, internally, they couldn't get the deal worked out. Then I was talking to Eddie about fighting Carl Froch, you know, going to the UK, fighting over there. Carl, after posting pictures of saying he was too big and too strong for Gennady, then he decided to retire. So you can't force these guys to get in the ring with Gennady. And right now, there's not really a fight that makes sense at 168. That DeGale's supposedly fighting Jack, and then I don't even know the other champion. Oh, and then Ramirez, Zerto Ramirez. Bob told me that Ramirez would be interested in fighting Gennady next year. So that, in my opinion, is probably the most likely fight to happen at 168. He's a great champion, 168-pounder from Mexico. He's undefeated. He had a great win over Arthur Abraham in the WBA. Looks like they'll order, Danny Jacobs is fighting Sergio Mora on September 9th, which is one day before. So that's mandatory to do. So it looks like they'll order Danny Jacobs to fight Gennady. So we'll see how that goes. But Gennady's never, want to emphasize, he's never shied away from a mandatory challenge. If he's ordered, he's so focused on having the titles and keeping them. Unlike a lot of fighters who tried to get out of their mandatory obligations, he was a mandatory for Felix Sturm for 2 years. And Sturm kept getting exceptions not to fight Gennady. So that would be a great fight. Him and Daniel Jacobs in New York would be a tremendous fight. So they're focused on September 10th. I'm always looking forward to see what else is down the road. Eddie, you know, with the success now, maybe Eubanks will come back in the picture. It looks like the pay-per-view in the UK will do very well as well. De Gale is out there. That might happen. You never know. When Carl Froch, he's working for Sky. When he stands next to Gennady and sees that he's about 4 inches taller than Gennady, maybe he'll decide to come out of retirement. You never know what'll happen.
Hey Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps, and if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you go ahead and do so by clicking this little icon right here, or else